Kind of important. Got to have this. Look around and can't remember what you did with it. Stuck it behind you. All right. Anybody remember what we were doing last week? Samaritan woman. All right. Our text will still be from John 4, 3 through 42 is where we're actually kind of out of this evening again. All right. Let's see, where did I leave off here? What would the woman have asked him for if she'd actually known who he was? Life? Inevitably, that's what it is. It's life. The living water. And a lot of times, I could see a person sitting there and wanting to get a drink. You're really not thinking about what Christ would have come out and said, hey, I can give you something better than what you have. You know, speaking of water. And I could see where the woman would be slightly confused on the fact that he's not referring to the water that's in this here well. It's something else completely. All right. The woman also reminded him, what did he not take with him? Or what didn't Christ have with him when he was talking to her? A jug, a way of getting water, bucket. That time I don't know what they'd used to actually get it out. I'm assuming a bucket of some sort. Clay pot. Something to dip water. Was this a shallow well? No, it's a deep well. And if he doesn't have any way of dipping the water or getting the water out of the well, would she have a reason to be kind of confused? All right. Who does she ask if let's see, how do I want to ask this question? Who is Jesus greater than? I'll go with that route. Who else? Jacob. Jacob had dug the well. And Christ is referring to himself, and she's wanting to know. All right. What happens to the person that drinks the water that comes from this well?
Thirst again.
Going to thirst again. What about what Christ is giving? You know, we look at never thirst. We look at worldly things here. You know, do we thirst? Do we want it to be warm when it's cold outside and cold when it's warm outside? You know, it's kind of weird backwards, but we're kind of creatures of habit. We kind of like things like that. You know, this is about the time of year where I get up and I throw my t-shirt on and I head out the door thinking it's going to be warm. And I get that rude awakening at 4 o'clock when I grab that door handle for outside and it's an ice cube. I step outside and I turn right back around. And it's a good thing I don't lace boots because you can take them off pretty quick. But we're temporal. We like things the way we want it to be. And when we get to a point where it's brought out that, hey, there's something better than this, you know, electric coats, electric gloves, I mean, all this new stuff is kind of nice. But yet, it still passes away. But yet, what Christ is giving this woman here, as he's talking to her, he's offering more. And we've got the same today. We've got more. The water Jesus has is a well fountain doing what? I did not ask. I messed that up. The well or fountain, what's that?
Are you talking about verse 14, will be springing up into everlasting water?
What's that refer to? Or how would it still be going today?
Well, he's offering salvation.
Okay. I went a little bit different route of thinking. I mean, that definitely covers what he's talking about. What happens to somebody when they learn something new? Do we keep it to ourselves usually? I mean, you go down to a local coffee shop. What happens at a local coffee shop most mornings? Gossip. What travels faster than anything else? Gossip at a coffee shop. I don't care whether it's farmers, people, anywhere. That's usually one of the main places where you get gossip, and it goes up. What I was thinking with this was that spring forth. What's the word do when you learn it initially? To begin with. What do you want to do? You want to spread it, right? And a lot of times you have yet to have anything hinder you or somebody say no or not listen or not pay attention to you. They want to, you're not afraid to tell it to anybody. And to me, that's kind of what this is he's talking to her and it's given her an opportunity to go back to town as we read on here. And it may not be the word as what she's spreading, but she went back and like the gossip, it comes back to town and then everybody has to come see what's going on. All right. What did this woman want?
She didn't want to have to draw water again.
She did not want to draw water again.
She didn't want to have to thirst and have to draw water. So that means that she still wasn't understanding who he was.
She didn't get it yet. Excuse me.
One of the things you notice about Jesus in his teaching, he did a lot. He didn't just walk up to people and say, hey, I'm the Christ or the Messiah, and so you should listen to me because I got a lot to offer. You know, he says enough to spark interest in the conversation, you know, so that they want to know more and their mind's engaged in the situation. I think this is a good example of Jesus doing that here.
And if we take that, what do we gain from it? I mean, we see what he's done here. We see the little things he's used to kind of keep fishing this woman along, keep her asking questions. Because if you do the same thing today, what happens?
Well, everything he ever gave us in his whole life was an example of how to live our own lives and how to spread the gospel. So it'd be a pretty good way to implement in your own life if you could speak to that in that manner, draw them in with honey, you know, and then tell them, hey, this is going on, this is where you need to be, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's to a point where she understands, you know, he's got something that she might want. Now let's go dig into it and see what we can do.
I think it's just like if a celebrity called me up on the telephone. Do you think I would believe him right off the bat? No, I think it was a spam call. I'm still waiting for that call.
Well, I'm really thinking you're more in tune to have the gate guy that stops by, but the new gate guy comes with this opener, this magic opener for the gates, so you didn't have to open gates anymore. You'd be more apt to listen to him.
But all I'm saying is, you know, you see where the proof needs to come.
Yeah. And where we're headed is the proof. Jesus had told her husband, I'm going to reword that. Jesus told the woman to call her husband. What did she say?
She didn't have one.
She didn't have one. What was the problem there? She'd had too many. So, in that, she had spoken correctly. But what was her situation at the time?
She had one that wasn't her husband.
Okay. She had one, just wasn't her husband. And Christ kind of points that out to her a little bit. Now, I do think she listened to that aspect and what he said there, because he obviously wasn't from there and wouldn't have known that she either didn't have a husband, had a husband, or had 5. All right?
I think it's also interesting that you see that her sense of religiousness in this, and then Jesus says, "Oh, you bet."
Yeah.
We're in the same boat today, you know, in the denominational world.
bring it back down. Like you said, today people's wants everything to be rainbows, unicorns, nice. You know, as long as I don't hate people, I don't do anything mean to people, I'm fine. But do we really want to go in and follow the word? You know, we've got what we've got to show us what we're supposed to be doing. Now, do I want to apply myself? And the application process is where we have problems today with things. People don't necessarily want to follow by the rules. And where does that get us? Well, it gets us into the same kind of position that she's in right here. We want to go outside the rules. It doesn't really matter on what. That's what she was doing. But yet he explained to her that she wasn't right. What do we notice with this woman after his comments, verses 19 through 21?
She recognized him as a prophet.
Okay. She's figuring out that he's more than what just a guy that walked up, just a Jewish guy that walks up to the well and wants some water, and for some reason is talking to her. All right. What else did she say there?
I think it's interesting when she recognized his authority, the first thing she said to him, she was asking him a question about worship.
Okay. And what else? Let's see here. Where do I want to go? Oh, I'm in the wrong. Never mind. Verse 20 mainly. You look at verse 20, and our fathers worshipped on this mountain, and you Jews say that in Jerusalem is the place where one ought to worship. So she's showing the divide between the two. The Jews saying Jerusalem. Her fathers, those that left, weren't doing it correctly, were doing it on those mountains. What did Christ say would change? Yeah, you wouldn't. Jerusalem isn't going to be a main hub. Those mountains aren't going to be a main hub. Is God physically here? When you're in spirit, does that mean that you have to be in any one certain place? No, God's everywhere. I mean, yes, it's hard for us to fathom because we have a hard enough time saying, okay, I'm here. But
But as wicked as this world is, it has to be everywhere, or we'd all be in big trouble.
exactly. You know, he's watching everything that goes on. He knows what everything that happens. And we now at least don't have to go clear to Jerusalem. I mean, if you looked at the Old Testament where they went back to Jerusalem, how far from Jerusalem are we right now? A long ways. You know, as often as they had to travel back to Jerusalem, and that's hence the reason why they were worshiping their worship on the mountain, is so they didn't have to travel back, and it was also so the leaders could keep power over them at that time. But when we worship in spirit, that took us from having to go anywhere else. We do that here. We don't have to do it. We don't have to be in Eagleville. I don't have to be in anywhere, Kansas City, Des Moines, anywhere around where there'd be a main hub. And we don't look at any one certain group as being more special than anybody else on that. How do the true worshipers worship the Father? Okay.
But he was trying to show her that the Samaritan worship was not appropriate. Was not complete, I guess.
Not complete, but what was coming.
Was not proper.
The same thing we have today, you know, the same thing today. There was one coming that was going to replace all worship. You know, we worship in spirit and truth, verse 23. Have we seen things today that maybe they got the spirit but not the truth? The way they act sometimes. I mean, there's some people out there that's a little bit out there, and I guess is the way I'll put it. But
Doesn't spirit in this case mean attitude?
I think so. I think your attitude has to be right, and you have to do it the right way. It's nothing that you look throughout the Old Testament, and the Pharisees and Sadducees and the leaders always seemed like they had a different set of rules than everybody else. And if I tell one person to go do something, but I tell the next person to do something different, or I tell you to do something, but me, myself, I'm going to do something different, you know, am I being truthful? You know, following man's ways. And that's what the problem was. They got into where they were following man instead of God. Why should we, why must we worship God in spirit and truth? Is there a reasoning behind it?
Only acceptable worship.
Only acceptable worship? I think we've answered the question already this evening. God's spirit. So that's how we worship him.
So the truth part would be correctly?
What's that?
The truth portion would be the correct way.
The correct way.
Following the word, reading it, and understanding it, obeying it.
You know, we don't bend anything. We don't have musical instruments. We don't have anything that God didn't previously set up. We don't do something on our own will.
Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong or differently, I don't know, but I think it was a novel idea to her because the old law was so physical, everything had to be done so physical and XYZ just down to the letter. And then Christ is bringing in, okay, well, it's not just about that anymore, I also want your heart. I want you to be in spirit, is your, who said it earlier, attitude, how, what you're thinking about, focus on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't recall a lot of that in the old law. It was mainly, did you do your sacrifices and when, and were they correct and that kind of thing.
You kept bringing up everything you've ever done with your sacrifices. I mean, that was what you'd done wrong, or had you done something, you had to do this to make it right with God. And then,
We're also looking for a physical kingdom too, so the principle of everything they did correctly is what you just said. Everything they wanted was physical. They wanted a physical king. They wanted, that was physical. They wanted a physical kingdom. They expected this thing to be set up physical.
Something they could see.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and that's,
Different plan.
I think that's where you get the difference between God and spirit. We worship in spirit, and somebody that thinks it needs to be here. We understand what's coming isn't from man, or God didn't put it here. It's somewhere else. And it's hard for people to wrap their head around, to catch on to that. People want to see, feel, touch. That's why the Jews thought when Christ came, he was going to be the new David, run the Romans out and lead. And I guess to me, where I would have heartburn with that, it's supposed to last forever. The rate I'm going, I keep mashing fingers and whatnot, I'll be digitless by the time that was over with. Just the amount of stuff that you have happen to you, is your body going to run forever? No. So to me, the physical aspect of things, the physical kingdom, I'm assuming they thought you would just die and be dead like all the ones before you, and the next generation would come up. But what end does that give you? All right.
What the prophets wrote about that the new law would be wrote on their hearts. And so, like, Holly and Justin are talking about, the idea that the old law revolved around a lot of ritual. And the church has, we have religious rituals that are commanded. We observe the Lord's Supper, our worship service, there's certain things we're required to do. But our service is still different because a lot of our service is dependent upon the heart. And it's not that the Jews were immune from the heart, and God
Yep,
But
Agag.
that's one of the few times in the Old Testament where the condition of the heart's mentioned. A lot of the things that are mentioned is the following of the pattern of the law. And so that's right. So this woman, her idea of religion was, we worship on this mountain. And God says, that's a ritual, but God wants your heart. And so not only does He want your heart, you've got to do it the right way. And she was trying to do the right thing, but it wasn't the right way. So you got the truth, but then, her heart. And he says this just after he mentions about some things about her personal life regarding her husband. And so you think about the idea of spirit here is sometimes translated as attitude or character. And so that's what God says. He says we need, because and I may be wrong, but the way I understand this is Jesus is saying, you could be more than you are. And so we need your heart. And so you're doing the right things, but your heart's not in the right place. And that's what's going to be required.
You've got the right thinking, you just have the wrong practice.
Well, practice, but even the, he mentions her lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then mentions about spirit and truth. And anyway.
Okay, so explain verse 22, you worship what you do not know. What-
So that, I think that's a similar statement to what Paul made in Romans chapter 10, 1 through 3. Where Paul says, my prayer for Israel, this part of it already. Romans 10, he says, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. And so I think the similar thing could be said about the Samaritans. That's why Jesus was there. He says, for I bear them witness that they have a zeal for God. That's what the woman, she's like, we worship in this mountain, but not according to knowledge. Paul said, for they were ignorant, they being ignorant of God's righteousness, and are seeking to establish their own righteousness, they have not submitted themselves to the righteousness of God. And so they say, just like a lot of people today, well, we're going to worship God the way we want because our heart's in it. Well, that's where the truth comes in. And so you have lots of examples of people in the Bible who did the right things, but their heart wasn't it. Saul, was he sincere about sparing the Amalekites? That's something, But if he was, Samuel said, that's not enough. God wants your heart. And so this woman says, we're a religious people. Samaritans are religious. And you think about all the animosity between the Jews and the Samaritans that had happened for generations. And here Jesus is sitting there talking to her. And I feel like she's making a national defense for her people. Said, we're a religious people. We worship God. And God says, well, what's the right attitude? You're going to have to worship in truth. How is that?
Yeah, I think the part in Romans in chapter 10 that explained it.
All right. What did the woman say would occur when the Messiah comes? Verse 25.
He will tell us all things.
Okay. What was Christ doing to this woman?
Telling her everything.
I mean, she states, the woman clearly states, the woman said to him, I know the Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all the things. That coming out of her mouth as she's talking to him, you would think would be something that would make the light bulb on your head come on. What did Jesus tell her? Who he is. That's him.
Put yourself in her shoes, though. She's not comprehending it. It'd be tough to just walk up on some gentleman and get in the right frame of mind to be like, oh, So it would take a little time to realize who you're talking to.
And he called her out on her husbands and,
To me, it's a prelude to all this. He's leading her up to this point and helping her along, at least mentally getting her prepared for what he's going to tell her. Because if you got hit with that,
If you just come out and say it, it probably wouldn't have been received very well.
I mean, how many people would listen today if Christ came and said that? Just sitting here, You think anybody outside's gonna listen to that?
Well, we ought not to, but they had hundreds of years of prophecy to
They had a lead up. Yeah, we shouldn't.
allude to that, and that's why the question about, verse 25 that comes up is, the woman said to him, I know the Messiah is coming. The word Messiah comes from the Hebrew background, so it's a transliteration. Messiah means to rub with the Lord, anoint. In fact, the word Messiah here, when you go back to, I double checked it a minute ago on my Bible app. You go back to 2 Samuel 2, when David was anointed, for example. And that's the word that's here. He needs to rub with the Lord, to anoint. And so it says that he is coming, and then it says, who is called the Christ. And so the word Christ is a Roman derivative, or not a Greek derivative of the word Messiah. So she says the same thing twice. Are you the anointed in Hebrew? She says in Greek, are you the anointed? And so she says that. And so I think about this. You think about this, you always hear legends. This legend. So you got this folklore of this guy that's going to come for hundreds of years. You get to Acts chapter 5, and you see that conversation there. They talk about, the people who built the religious following and it dwindled away. There's people that thought Christ had come before Christ came. There's people that thought Christ came after Christ came. There's still people today that are still looking for Christ. You got Jews that believe that Christ hasn't come anointed. And so she asked the question. She says, are you the legend? Because you think about when the separation, you're talking about the first carrying away is, I can't remember, the last one was 606 BC, so you're over 600 years, this legend, well, that's not the first prophecy, you had prophecies throughout the Old Testament, so, for her to know and be familiar, and to say, are you the one? Well, it's just ironic to me, because I think about, if I was in that situation, would I be able to link it up, say, surely not me, to meet the Messiah?
To be in that, like I said, she was coming around pretty slow because I think anyone in her shoes would have been, is it really, yeah, just like you said.
Skip,
Just meet who I thought I did.
It's really it.
we hear something
She
today.
was going to get water. I mean, that was the most mundane thing.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day, when
Yeah.
it's super hot and nobody's supposed to be
I mean, she
around.
didn't think anyone would even be there.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a parade or a big announcement, here comes Christ.
But that was it. Once he said I'm he, she knew it. And she ran to town to tell others.
Excuse me.
But she proved she was looking. She received it.
Yeah. To me, it just goes along with today. Are people skeptical when you tell them things? They look at you like you lost your mind.
But she didn't go into the city going, it's him, it's him. She said, could it be? So,
She's still,
Apprehension,
yeah,
because there'd been others that
yeah.
claimed to be the Christ and others believed were to be the Christ.
It's something she just wasn't sure of. All right. The woman then left her water pot and went into the city. What did she tell the people?
Jesus got away with his water now.
Yeah. I thought about that. It's like he'd asked for water. He got into he got a conversation going, and then she leaves the pot.
It just makes me.
Come and see.
Come and see.
Yeah. And I guess in that instance, it's something good. She's at least. I'll compare it with today. We learned something, especially becoming a new Christian. You want more people than just you to see things going on, and we should want to go out and say something to somebody else. Now, when things don't go very well, people don't pay attention to you, people don't listen. Are we as apt to go out and talk as much as somebody that just became a Christian or somebody that sees something for the first time? I mean, usually you see something neat for the first time, you're like, oh, come here, let's watch this. This is cool. This is something neat. And then about the 100th time you've seen the same thing, you're like, yeah, we've been here before. It's not as It's not as forthcoming or not as important. All right. What happened to the people when, or what was the result of him meeting this Samaritan woman? Multitude gathered. Okay.
A lot of people ended up believing on him.
A lot of them believed on him. They did believe what Jesus said. And that makes me wonder also. The Samaritans would believe, but the Jews, and I think your run-of-the-mill average Jew didn't have the same problem with him as the leading parties, the higher-ups, the way I'll put it, Sadducees and Pharisees. Those are the ruling class, had a problem with him. But we see here, they believed, but yet Jews didn't. But he's a Jew in Samaria. So it kind of makes you just stop and go,
And he stayed there 2 days with them. And then he continued with them.
You know, it doesn't, it's always interesting, it never expressly states that she became a follower.
That what?
That she became a follower, it never expressly states that.
no names.
We don't know.
What's,
Kinda like the rich young ruler, he went away sorrowful.
About ready to
Yeah.
say the same thing.
We don't know,
We don't know that he didn't make it.
you know, he could have said, boy, that's a lot, but I go,
I better go do it.
Well, I think maybe, yeah, I agree with you, it never says it. I think maybe we can draw that conclusion because of the conversation that the rest of the people had with her in 39 and following.
Yeah, I mean, I read,
It kind of feels that way, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Kind of like we can't really know who wrote Hebrews, but we kind of know.
well,
It's called foreshadowing.
it's 40, I mean, like you said, verse 42, it kind of leads you to believe that. Now, we believe not because of what you said, for we ourselves have heard him. We know that this is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world.
Well, 41 says, and many more believed because of his own word. So, and many more in addition to her. That's how that reads. But I don't know what that is in the original text, but in English, I don't know. Tara, help me out here. You know English better than I do.
Fifth grade.
Wow. Leave somebody
but
hanging.
the good news is, they say that the Bible's written on 5th grade level. That's really, based on literary examination, that's what I can kind of.
I thought it was 3rd grade, so therefore I was safe. But,
I don't know, for me, with me, I know it doesn't specifically say, but when you're in 42 and they obviously have been talking to the woman and the woman's obviously telling them things because they said to the woman, now we believe, not because of what you said. I mean, they saw for themselves, but she obviously had to have,
She definitely sparked interest.
yes, for sure.
And she got people there, and then Jesus took care of it from there.
That's a lot of work to never actually believe, but you never know.
But you know, Agrippa says almost outpersuaded me. There are people in that room that we can't know, probably became Christian because of all that happened. And Agrippa's, like I say, I'm not trying to say one, we just don't. The scripture does say,
Yep.
her and the rest of the city, it says many did.
yeah.
But if he never had went that direction, I mean, obviously he knew what he was doing, but he just, I don't know, it's just a lot.
Well, and this the example. Where were the apostles sent to first?
They were sent to the Jews.
Right.
Jews first.
So that's one thing in this that kind of sets it different than everything else. This is one time he went to the Samaritans. He was with them, and he stayed with them for 2 days.
Well, that's the prophecy, to Judah, to Samaria, into the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because they were, they went to the Jews because they were heirs. God used them as a nation to bring about the crisis. So God says, I have a special responsibility because you've been my people, and I've used you so you get the gospel first. And then he went to Samaritans because they were cousins. They were
All right. Well, is there any other comments for this evening? Anybody got any more better ideas than I do? Thank you for your comments.